All right, here we go. We have a delay. All right, we've got a Prusa MK2S here, and it's functioning awesome, but I'm about to do the 2.5 upgrade, so fasten your seat belts and hang on tight. Here's all the parts. 2.5, the upgrade includes the new heated bed with the removable sheet. It includes the Bondtech extruder upgrade, filament sensor, Noctua fan. But the biggest reason I got it was for the heated bed upgrade. It doesn't come with the printed parts, but they send you a spool. And as you can see, I bought my kit in black because that's how I bought my original printer kit. So I've got all the parts printed out and we're ready to get started. If anyone watching this has built a kit, you'll know that their instructions are very well thought out and very detailed. So they give you a pretty good chance to do a successful job in the way they lay that stuff out. So they had us disconnect the heater power wires and the heater thermistor, and now they're going to have us remove the heat bed from the frame. These little screws aren't very long. You gotta be careful, don't just remove all four and let it fall. Might want to save it in case you ever need it. And we're free. Now I just gotta watch these cables. Don't wanna yank anything off of there. This carriage is going to be replaced, but we get to leave the bearings on the rods. Got to remove the belt and the cable ties that hold it all together. They don't tell you this in the instructions, but I think it's going to be easier to slack the motor, take a little tension off the belt. There we go. Tension, you can see that, tension off the belt. Now they want us to take the extruder apart so we can get the fan and the hot end and the etc. in the stepper motor. So obviously you want to be careful of the heater block wires and the thermistor wires. They're probably the most delicate of this whole assembly. Pretty sure this fan, the hot end cooling fan, gets replaced. That obviously gets reused. I can spread it and remove it from the Alright, it wasn't quite as bad. I was able to get in between here and here just the tiniest amount, and it was all it needed to get it out of there. But I want to add just a little more explanation on this, because the instructions say, when you follow through the instructions, they make it sound like you just go bloop and it comes apart. But because this Teflon tube is in there, it's not that easy. And that's engaged in one of those little push lock style things, and so when you pull up on it, it doesn't come up because it's captured inside there. You actually have to hold down this collar to be able to pull that out. So you can't pull the tube out this way to remove it. And I'm just adding this. You can still get this part out. It's not a big deal. But you can't just yank it just straight away. What I want to make sure to point out is that you end up coming away at a slight angle. So nozzle end first, till you can get this section away from here, and you can see there is, there's a little slop, so it's not a perfect tight fit up in there. But anyways, you have to come away this way a little bit, and then you can kind of pull that tube out. But it will not just come like this, because that tube's going to stop you. Alright, we're prepping the new carriage for the extruder here. Alright, so we got 2 cable ties. This is just following the instructions again, just step by step. And square nuts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're basically just to line up the bearings like that. Now the instructions tell you to clean the rails, and you can put a little oil on there. I've already done that. No sense in wasting time filming someone wiping grease off of rails. So basically we're ready to tighten up cable ties. Just gonna get them started here. Make sure we got everything where we want it before I Alright, next step is the belt and getting the belt run through there. So bear with me here, my hand is probably going to block the shot. This new printed part, different than the old, has basically teeth grooves printed into it. If you remember the old one, and maybe you don't remember, the old one looked like this, and basically you wrap the belt. Whoop, you can't see. There we go. The old one looked like this. Basically the belt came in here, wrapped around here, back out, and basically in this channel here the 2 teeth overlap themselves, and that's what kind of held it in place. The new one actually has teeth kind of printed into the part. So we just get it started on this side, pushed in there. Make sure it's in there all the way. And then we need to run it through the pulley. And back through here. Over by the motor. Now you can see I've got the motor loose like I talked about earlier. I'm just going to hold it in place for now so I can get this strung back through. Alright, something like that. Now they tell you not to tighten the belt yet. or cut the belt, I'm sorry. Don't trim the belt. You can see there's some excess. Got some extra right there. The instructions specifically say not to trim it yet. So basically, you want the motor screws, 2 out of the 3, right? So you can pivot it. You need a pivot point. So and I don't know if, okay, you can see in this view, I just tip it up a little bit. That gives me that extra. Because you want the belt to be tight here. It's going to take a couple of hands, it looks like, so bear with me. That in its channel. So what I'm doing is I'm holding it tight with this finger. I'm pulling on the belt with those 2 fingers. The motor is tipped up here, right? So that's gonna, when we go to tighten this back up and put tension on the belt, we're gonna twist it this way to align these screw holes. So that's gonna be how we're gonna get tension on this belt. So I'm just gonna try to slip the belt in the groove here for now and see how close we are. And then basically they tell you to, alright, so I've got it way too tight. I cannot. So that's too tight. I can't align my screw holes. So I need to loosen that up a little bit. Maybe a couple of teeth here. Okay. Much better. So we've got some tension on there. And it looks like I can get my screw started here. So let's just get that snug. That's pretty close right there. And next we'll do their little test to see if we've got the correct tension. Alright, the instructions say to basically take a pair of pliers. You can get on the flat of the motor shaft there because there's enough shaft sticking out past the pulley. Basically just squeeze a little bit, right? All you want to do is hold some tension on that motor so you can check and see if there is any play when you try to move the carriage. And I cannot get that to move, so we're just going to mark it, trim it, and that'll be that. Just going to take the tension back off this motor. While I do that, I'm going to see if I can trim that belt without pulling it back all the way out. And we did it. So I'm going to tighten up the motor screws again, and I'm going to check my pulley alignment. By the way, you never want to move these axes really fast on this Prusa, and I did it by accident one time. I moved the bed and I was moving it too fast, and the display actually powered on. These stepper motors actually can act as generators, so you don't want to do that because you could actually destroy some components on the driver board. Okay, I think that step is done. Alright, next step looks like we're starting to put together the extruder gears. So this is the gear that does not have the set screw. The other one has a set screw. That one goes on the motor shaft. And it basically wants us to put these two bearings inside. And then we're going to put the shaft through the printed part. The part's printed fairly well, but if you can see that, I don't know if it'll zoom in, that hole is not perfectly round. And I don't want to force the pin through there, right? The pin needs to have a little tension on it, I suppose, so that it doesn't slide out of place. But I don't want to force it in there and delaminate that. I don't want to break that. So I'm just going to clean that hole out. Put that in there. Got that pin about even on both sides there. We spin freely, so there we go. And then, of course, there's a couple of square nuts that need pushed in here. Looks like we're gonna install the filament sensor next. There's a couple of nuts we need to install. So the next step is the filament sensor itself. Right there. Okay, you can see the little sensor through the hole there. And this one needs to be tight, but you still need to be able to move this door. Next part is adjusting the pulley on the motor. I'm just going to get it roughly. So we will get our filament shoved through there. So we can see the alignment. There. See how that looks. Let's go. I don't know if you guys can see that. I think that's pretty good. We'll tighten it down there. So now we're going to put the little tensioner screws, the springs. Just about flush with the body of the about right there. We put a nut in there, and then we put a square nut in there. We're just supposed to kind of at an angle get that tube started in there. Come on, you can do it. There we go. A little bit farther, and right there. Lay the extruder assembly just like that, so we can get some cables organized. These cables are like lint, they just kind of get stuck together and bundled up. So the picture shows that, but all you're going to do is these cables need to come between the belt and the guide rod for the pin to probe and fan. On that side, get that out of the way there. There we go. The stepper motor. And the hot end fan. Go through this side. So now when we lift this in place, these are kind of already guided to where they need to go. Extruder motor, wires, and fan that I want to make sure don't get pinched. And it looks like they're okay. Looks like they're right where they should be. And then we just snug up the nut. Alright, next is the filament sensor wire. Now we're going to run the cables through the back here. Alright, they've got some nylon filament here that adds rigidity to this when you bundle it all up in the wire harness. Alright, next step is the wrap the cable management for the upper set of cables here. Now we're going to add in the hot end wires into the wrap. Now we have to put the little cover over the filament sensor. So there's a tiny little piece of Teflon tubing they send with that sits right there. Doesn't go down very far. And the cover, which slips right over there. 2 screws. And now we've got a new wire loom for this that we need to just kind of start. Alright, next step is to get the heater mounted. the battery ran out on my other camera, so I'm gonna finish this up with this one. So what they had you do was move it to one side over here, move the extruder all the way over that side, drop it down, just touch the bed, bring it back to this side, watch it so you don't drag it across, and then make sure it's just touching on this side. Run it over to the center so that, I don't even know if you can see that, it's just touching. Then you basically stick a cable tie under the pinda probe in the center there, and push it down, basically tighten it up. And I've done that, and the next step is basically firmware. So it looks like we are basically completed with the assembly. Alright, I'm going to update the firmware and see if we can get this thing printing. Alright, well, we are printing the first layer, Cal.